Awesome. Connor, that's pretty cool that you came to La Ventana. We are gonna talk, we wanna know more about who is Connor. All right, so tell me a little bit, where are you from and how's that and you have been here training in La Ventana?
Yeah, so I'm from the UK, and yeah, I've been kind of living there my whole life, but spend a lot of time out here. I kind of started coming here 4 years ago. It's kind of a bit crazy. I kind of started kite foiling in 2016, and at the World Championships in China, I was kind of like, I don't even know my result, 35, 40 maybe. And I remember having a conversation with Matt Taggart, owner of Ozone, and he said, if you want to get better, you need to go to Mexico. And so that next day I booked a flight to La Ventana in 2016 and turned up on Christmas Day. No idea where I was, no idea what was going on. And yeah, I've come back every year since. And so this event's kind of pretty cool for me because it's the first event that I kind of committed into foiling. It was the first event that F1 spotted me and started sponsoring me. And then, yeah, last year I managed to medal here. So yeah, it's really quite a special event for me, this one.
Right on. So it was some people saying like the Pro Tour, it was not going to happen this year. When you knew that Pro Tour was for real going to happen, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean the Pro Tour it's always pretty special because it's this string of events which are in the best foiling places in the world with absolutely no consequence of cost, no consequence of what you need. You don't need a yacht club, you don't need anything else. It's just a really small, tight knit of people who have decided to run foiling events, which is pretty kind of cool because it doesn't really exist anymore in most professional sports. And I think it's called the Pro Tour for a reason. We all turn up because we are professionals, and we are here. I mean, this is a great example. We're all here testing the kites. You've got 3 brands here: F1, Fly Surfer, and Flymax, who are just desperately trying to get their final development, and the way we do that is by pinning 3 of the top guys in the world against each other and hoping to God that our kites are faster than the other person. And that's something quite special about the Pro Tour that you can't really do anywhere else or in any other situation. World Championships, all the riders are thinking about winning the World Championships. At the Pro Tour, everyone's kind of a little bit more relaxed, but with a very clear objective. And that can be kit, it can be yourself, it can be beginning of the season, it can be anything.
Right on. So do you think that the Pro Tour, especially here in Mexico, do you think is the first event of the year that everyone wants to go because they want to test the new stuff, they want to like see it's kind of like the benchmark of the year?
I mean, we can't, I don't think you can overestimate how important the Mexico Pro Tour is for us. I mean, we pin our whole year on it. It's the first event where we are pushing ourselves back on the water. My last event was at the beginning of October, so I haven't been on a race course since then. We've got a full calendar coming up, 5, 6, 7 events this year. And this is the event where you're getting back into it. Everything's a bit rusty, you're coming off the start line a little bit rusty, but we've all been kiting a lot. And I think that's what's really interesting is that we all go our separate ways. I spend a lot of time here, or Tarifa. I spent a bit of time in the BVI this winter as well. Teo's spent a lot of time in San Diego, and then Maxime spends a lot of time in the south of France. And so we're all in these different places. And then we all come here. And it's kind of like this crazy experience where you kind of test your winter training and test what you've been doing with your designers and test what, we've got Mike here, we've got the fly surfer designer, and it's just a really good way to test what you've done and kind of use it as a bit of a proving ground.
That's cool. And tell me more about what's your background? I mean, there's some people that they say some kind of like background, but we're here, we want to know more about Connor. What's your background in sailing? When was the first time you said, I want to try kiteboarding? Like, how long it was?
So I mean, I started windsurfing, as I think so many of the kite surfers that we know today do, and I was windsurfing from the age of 8, with the dream to be a professional windsurfer. And then when I turned 17, 18, I left school. I managed to do that. I was a professional windsurfer for 4 or 5 years, running an Olympic campaign and on the horrible big RSX thing that, thank goodness, is out of the Olympics now. But that was me. That was my whole life, was RSX. And then obviously in 2012, when I was 18, kite surfing and windsurfing did the little switch, which was quite a big kind of shake-up for me. But I would learn kite surfing. I was being paid professionally to windsurf, and luckily the guys who sponsor me and support me decided that they would sponsored me to learn to kite surf for 6 months. And so I did the race board with the 3-fin stuff, and then at the end of 2012 it switched back again. And so I went windsurfing again for another 2 years. And then when I was 21, I kind of had this midlife crisis, if you like. Windsurfing was costing me a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money, and so I needed to start looking into a job. And I decided that if I couldn't do the windsurfing professionally full time, then I didn't want to do it at all. And so I left the professional windsurfing side of things and moved into coaching. And I coached from when I was 21 to 24. I coached the British youth team, the British junior team, and then a little bit of the senior team as well, which was an amazing experience for me. I travelled all around the world coaching people who, well, one of the girls is now going to the Olympics this year. And so it was an amazing opportunity for me. And then I had a really nice opportunity. I was still kite surfing. I was still loving my kite surfing, and I had a little bit of money because I was working so much. So I could afford some equipment, and I was coming to the odd event, but never really doing it professionally. And I guess I got a bit lucky to a certain extent. As I said, I turned up here the first time after Matt Taggart said, you need to go there. And I think here I ended up wrapping my kite with Matt Taggart, which was a little bit of a funny situation. But and then the year after, I think I was mid-20s or something. I pushed myself that year pretty hard. I think that was 2017. But we're still working quite a lot. We're still coaching. Couldn't give that much time to kite surfing. And it came to the beginning of 2018, and I kind of decided, okay, this is it. I'll do one more Mexico trip. And I'm going to have to retire from kite surfing because I couldn't afford it. It was too expensive. We know how expensive this sport is. It's Formula One of kite surfing. It's the Formula One of sailing at the end of the day. And so that was it. I kind of said, I'll do the Mexico Pro Tour final time, and then I'll call it a day. I'll sell all my gear and I'll go work full time. And Robert Graham, who's the F1 designer, we after the Pro Tour completely hungover, as you kind of have to be after the Pro Tour. It's not really right not to be. And he had the new V4, the F1 V4, and we couldn't work out how to make it fly properly. And so in my hungover state, I did a little bit of tuning, and it's something I'm really passionate about from my sailing and windsurfing background is the development. And so I managed to kind of throw this kite in the air and vaguely make it so it flied with the limited knowledge I had back then. But he really believed in me. And when I got back home, I got a call from F1 and said, we'd love you to join the international team. And flew out to France 2 days later and joined their international team and went professional from that point on, really. And so it was quite crazy from going from, that's it, I'm going to quit, that's it, I'm done, to a month later designing for F1 and kind of being fully part of that family. And then since then it's been kind of a bit of a crazy roller coaster. I've done every event. I think I've only dropped out of the top 5 in 2 events in the past year and a half. 2019 was a great season for me. Finished 3rd at the Worlds, and then just kept kind of pushing on there, and 3rd at the last event as well. So it's been a pretty crazy year, and it's been really great to have F1 on side. And I've developed and helped test and everything the V5, which we're just about to release. And that's kind of like my baby, so I'm kind of fingers crossed I can actually do something with it. So it's really amazing kind of to come back here this will be my 4th year coming and doing this event, or 3rd year coming to this event. And it's just pretty special, I think, to kind of everything comes in full circle, and this event that is in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the world, continues to exist.
That's pretty cool. So let's say we seen you like on the courses in many events, like leading, right there. You are right there in the top. But some people, they don't know like how long it takes or how many hours it takes. Like, they see, wow, Connor goes very fast and he's doing very well. But tell me a little bit, like how long, like how many years you would say have been putting into this, like real time to be in the point where you're at and to be able to go the speed that you are going.
I think it's an interesting question, because in terms of full-time years, as I said, I've kind of been full-time for 2 years now, or a year and a half, 2 years. In terms of how much it takes to get here, I've got 12 years of windsurfing experience, I've got 5 years of coaching experience, I've got 6 years of kiting experience. It kind of all accumulates into something bigger. You've got people like Florian Gruber who've been, I think he started kitesurfing in 2002 or something crazy like that. And the people who have really been at the beginning of our sport and I kind of jumped in quite late, and everyone kind of went, oh yeah, but you windsurfed and da. And I think it does make a big difference. But in terms of hours, it's terrifying. I wouldn't even want to count up how many hours I've been doing this sport for. And it's amazing, you see guys and they kind of jump on the course and go around the course with us, and they're in training and they're doing the odd tack, the odd jibe, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, I can tack and jibe around the course. I can do a dry lap, and you're like, oh yeah, cool. But to get to the next step is terrifying, and the amount of hours you do, and I think it's the confidence. You talk to a lot of guys and they go, oh yeah, I hit kind of 35 miles per hour out there today, and you're like, yeah, that's really cool. Like, oh, so out of control. And that's the big step, is that we are playing with a sport where you need to be millimeters from crashing. And that's the reality of it, is that you have to be so close to the point where you're going to crash and feel comfortable with that. And so to get to that point, you have to be comfortable and spend a lot of hours getting to that point. And if you watch the racing, which is super tight between the top three guys, we're doing 40 knots, a metre apart from each other, going into jibes that one of us could crash. And you have to have confidence in yourself that you're good enough and put that amount of hours in. But also you've got to have 100% confidence in the person next to you. You've got to have confidence that the person who you're battling with to win isn't about to fall off in the jibe. And that whole thing takes hours. I did, I think, 9 events last year, international events, maybe 8 the year before, which is kind of pretty unheard of for sailing. Most sailing disciplines do 3-4 events, kind of max, and we're there doing 8-9 events in a season. And I think that kind of shows how many hours you have to put into our sport to really be at the top.
That's pretty cool. And what now that you were mentioning something that's very interesting, and a lot of people, they don't know, like the speed and we can get in hydrofoils, but also like knowing that you are going 38 knots, but the person in front of you as well, like you're very close. What let's say, I want to tell me a little bit, what's in your mind when you are right there next to that person going 38 knots? Like what's...
So I think, again, it changed. So maybe a year ago, what was going through my head was, oh shit, am I going to crash? Is he going to crash? And now nothing really goes through my head. I think that's the big step change, is now I go around that windward mark, and the only thing that makes a difference, the only thing I think about, is how I can beat the person in front of me to the leeward mark. And I think that's the difference, is nothing really goes through my head. I think I'm at the point now where, and we all are, where you just let instinct take over.
That's very interesting. Now, I wanna know your perspective. Like, I was talking with another athlete from Laser, and they were watching us racing on foil and hydrofoils, and they said, wow, you guys go very fast on the course. Like the time to take a decision for us is like a minute.
Yeah.
But for you guys, it's like this.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think it's like this sport is completely in another dimension, another selling sports? And
completely a different dimension. I think if you watch the racing and you kind of have a look at how quickly we make decisions. And I think the key thing is that we travel the same distance as a laser, for example, around the course. We just do it 10 times as fast. And so what they take, a minute to think about is our second. We actually do have to think about, am I going to attack this second? Oh, I've missed my opportunity if I've had to think about that. So it is so instinctive. You go off the start line and you got 47 people on a start line that's designed for 25 people. And so the distance between the start line and your first tack might be a minute and a half, which means that in that minute and a half, you've got 10 decisions to make within that super short space of time that's going to dictate your positioning to the windward mark. And what we know from our racing is if you're in front, it's pretty easy to stay in front, or a lot easier to stay in front. If you happen to find yourself in that mid-fleet or even outside the top 10 around the windward mark, it is a horrible fight to get back up to the top 3. And I think that's the thing. It is a second. As you said, it's less than a second. We kind of were looking at the rules, for example, we come down to the leeward mark and it's 3 seconds. It's 50 meters or something. And that takes us less than 3 seconds. So you think that the time for me to make a decision of, am I going to make that mark in front of that person or do I need to give them space, is 3 seconds. So I've got no time at all, which dictates A, how I'm going to finish. Am I going to crash? Are they going to crash? Are they going to give me room? So it is seconds. And I think that's what's quite cool about it.
Now, tell me more about Connor, your experience, the whole career that you have as an athlete. What will be the hardest part you've been through? Like, I will say, I don't know, an injured or like I don't know, like a family situation or personal situation. What will be, or maybe, I don't know, like a sponsorship, equipment. What will be the one you said, like, that was kind of like the one, it divided the whole timeline, and from there it's kind of like it's a completely different game. Do you?
Yeah, I think there's two for me. There's two in my kiting career. There's two kind of key bits. The first one was when I first got into foiling. I actually ripped the cartilage off my hip in a bad foiling jive accident, and had to have full surgery on my left hip to rebuild the cartilage, which took me kind of 5-6 months off the water. And you've kind of got to really have a good long think about whether you're going to get back on the water. You've kind of got to go, do I want to do this sport? And it's definitely something that then impacted me the next year, which was, do I actually want to jibe anymore? Do I want to go into that jibe? Do I want to go downwind fast? And the answer was no. I've just ripped my cartilage off my hip. I'm kind of struggling to walk, struggling to kind of do much. And that was kind of a quite pinnacle moment of, can I pick myself up? If I can pick myself up, then I've learned a lot. And if I can't, then that's okay. I think quite a lot of athletes you see where they do retire at that point, and I completely understand it. Because if you don't feel 100% you can push it again, then you shouldn't be on that board, or you shouldn't be in that car, or you shouldn't be in whatever you're doing. So yeah, I think that was kind of the key one. And then the second one, as I've already mentioned, is that point where I said, I'm done. Yeah, I'm gonna tap out. And yeah, thankfully F1 saved my ass.
That's very cool. One more thing. There is a lot of people out there that, they are doing kiting. Probably they are not even doing kiting, but they're gonna watch these races. What would you tell them? Like, what is the strongest feeling you have when you are racing, when you are foiling? That the feeling side. Yeah. What is that? And it's like keeping you like, it feels like, what does it feel like? What would you say? Is that like calling you to go faster, to do more?
I think there's the first part is the competition. I love competition, and the feeling of winning, going through a finish line at 40 knots, knowing that you've won the race. There's just no feeling like it. It's like this whole release of, thank God that happened, and also I'm still alive. Check all your body parts. Yeah, they're still in place. We're all good. And I think there's something special about foiling, and you can't. I think everyone really struggles to describe whether you're foiling on a kite, foiling on a windsurfer, foiling on a boat. But kiting's pretty. I think the most special, because we're not attached to anything. It's just us, the board, and the kite. There's nothing more to it. We're not sat on a boat. We haven't got this huge big windsurfing sail or anything like that. And it is a sense of freedom. It's a real sense of absolute freedom on top of a board, and the speed is kind of just a byproduct of that, which is pretty amazing.
Right on, that's cool. Now, just to finish, just say your name. Your name, your last name, and like I'm from UK, or
Connor Bainbridge from the United Kingdom.
Right on. Thank you very much.